You can see my screen? Okay, perfect. So hi everyone, my name is Pelin and today I will be presenting you my thesis, and it is about the examination of pre-service ELT teachers' perceived level of stress and their evaluations of online education and academic achievement during COVID-19. Before I go on with the research questions, I want to tell you more about the reason why I chose this topic. So the first factor was stress, because as you may all know that university years can be very stressful because we have a lot on our plates, like assignments, midterms, finals, and many other things. So it can be very stressful. And the second factor was academic achievement. So I know that if a student cares about his or her future career, for them, academic achievement is really important. So this was another reason. And the third one was very obvious because the current situation in the world has changed everything. So I wanted to conduct a study that was one of the aspects. So this was another reason. And since everything moved to online platforms, online education brought to life. So with online education, there was no face-to-face classes anymore. We only had online classes. So it was a very different and new for us. And it was a new lifestyle for us to adjust within a very short period of time. And we were expected to adjust and prepare ourselves because we were in the middle of the term. And there were really great expectations and new expectations, and we weren't ready for that. So I wanted to see the impact of these factors on students. But before we go on with the questions, I want to tell you a little bit more about what makes my study different from others. So regarding the literature, I came across with many studies about students' perceptions about online education during COVID or normal times, and the impact of online education on students' GPAs. This was another one that was out there. And as thirdly, students' level of stress during COVID-19 and normal times, again, they were already conducted. So I wanted to do something a little different. And I didn't came across with any study that investigates the link between stress and academic achievement. So I wanted to make this as an aspect of my study too, because I was curious. And lastly, I didn't come across with any study that investigates these three aspects all together: GPA, stress levels, and perceptions towards online education. So because of that, my research questions are like this. The first one was, what are the students' perceptions about online education during COVID, of course? My second question was, how stressed are the students during the global pandemic? And lastly, do students' perceptions towards online education and their level of stress affect their academic achievement? So now I will talk about methodology. First, as you may have guessed, this is a quantitative study. And as participants, I worked with pre-service ELT students, and I had 41 participants, which wasn't enough, but I will come to that in the limitation part. And their age range was between 19 and 35. As instrument, I used 2 different questionnaires and 5 demographic questions. So both of the questionnaires were 5 Likert scale, and one of them was only 3 Likert scale, but we changed it to 5 because I think having more options is better. And the first scale was called Perceptions of Online Education, and the other one was called Perceived Stress Scale. And since I changed the scale Likert type, and perceived stress scale was also had different reliability scores. So we decided to conduct a pilot study too, to make sure. So as you can see, 0.85 and 0.82 was the reliability scores, which was reliable. As data collection, I used Google Forms to design my questionnaire because we were going to send it through online platforms. And the participation in the study was completely voluntary. And as data analysis, I used a SPSS program to get descriptive statistics, which gives us mean scores, standard deviations of the variables. And lastly, I used Pearson's correlation to see the relationship between GPA, perceptions of online education, and perceived stress levels. For the findings, I will go with the questions to make it more understandable. So first, my first scale was called Perceptions of Online Education, which consists of two parts. The first part was online versus classroom teaching mode. So here I will just talk about the important parts. I will start with item 1. So first, I want to say that this scale is ranging from 5 strongly agree and 1 strongly disagree. So here, okay. You can see 1, which is really close to 2. So it means that it is between strongly disagree and disagree. And the statement is online classes are more effective than classroom mode, which means that the students didn't agreed with this situation statement. They don't think it is as effective as classroom mode. So let's look at item 5, which is again disagree, but it is between disagree and neutral, but closer to disagree. So they don't think learning and knowledge transfer happens more in online classes. It happens less for them. And item 3, again, it is disagree and neutral, but closer to disagree again. So we can say that students think that online classes don't think that online classes are more convenient than classroom mode. Now I will talk about the high mean scores, and item 2 has the highest one. There is lack of interaction during online classes, which again, this equals to agree, and it is between agree and strongly agree. So they agree that there's lack of interaction. And this one is also very high, item 8. They agree / strongly agree that technical issues disrupt the flow and pace of online classes. And lastly, this is very close to 4. So we can say it's agree, but again, it can be neutral too. Quality of discussion is low in online classes. So they don't think the quality is high in online classes, which is quite obvious. And this is the summary. So my part 2 of my first scale was about personal factors in online classes. I won't be going very deep, so I will just talk about some of them. Item 14 has the highest mean score, which is again equals to agree. So they agree that they get easily distracted and have difficulty concentrating during online classes. And here it is between agree and neutral, yes. And I do not feel motivated to participate in online classes. So they're really close to thinking that they get demotivated during online classes or discussions. And this one is has the lowest score. I feel more comfortable to participate in online discussions compared to classroom. So again, it is disagree and neutral. So my second scale was about perceived level of stress. And I will just talk about some of them. Okay, item 3 sums up the whole point because it is about being nervous and stressed. So in the last month, how often have you felt nervous and stressed? So it is, okay, this scale was ranging from very often, 5, and 1, never. So we can say that it is between very often and fairly often. So they mostly feel nervous and stressed. And item 8, in the last month, how often have you felt that you were on top of things? So they disagree / neutral about this topic, but it is closer to neutral, but yeah, they sometimes didn't feel like they were on top of things. And lastly, I want to talk about item 9. In the last month, how often have you angered because things that happened that were outside of your control? So again, they said fairly often to this. So yeah. And lastly, I will talk about my correlation. Since I have limited time, I will just focus on the relationship of the construct with GPA. So I will just talk about the first row. I want to start with the highest score here, online versus classroom teaching mode. So here you can see that there's no minus before it. So we understand that GPA and online versus classroom teaching mode is positive correlated, which means that if one of them raises and the other one increases too. So if students have positive thoughts about online versus teaching classroom mode, their GPA tends to increase as well. And now let's look at item 4 with GPA. So there's a minus. So GPA and personal factors in online classes are negative correlated, which is technically not a bad thing. Being negative means that if one increases, the other one doesn't. So feelings about the personal factors in online classes, their GPA increases. So this can be a little confusing because it is negative because the statements that were in the personal factors in online classes scale was negative too. So it gives us positive. So it makes sense. And lastly, the level of stress, again, it is negative correlated with GPA, which means that the more students are stressed, the more they get lower grades. But there's a downside to this because as you can see, the numbers aren't very high. And as you can see, for instance, the highest one, 0.30, and it equals to low positive/negative correlation. So I think it is because my lack of participants. If I had more participants, it would be higher, I think. But it doesn't mean that my results are not good. They're just weak. And as conclusion, research question 1 showed us that students were neutral about online education, and they think online education is not as effective as a real classroom setting. And research question 2 showed us that in the last month, they sometimes fairly often felt stressed. And lastly, research question 3, GPA tends to increase if students have positive perceptions towards online education, and it can be affected negatively by the stress factor. As limitations and suggestions, I don't have many, but as limitations, I can say that the lack of participants was a problem for me because if I had more, I would get better and valuable results. And sending the survey through online platforms didn't help me in terms of getting more participants. Yeah, if we were in a real classroom, I'm sure I would get more participants. And as suggestions, I would suggest that it should be conducted with a bigger audience to get better and valuable results. And as discussion, some researchers found similar and some of them found different results. As research question 1, the PCAB revealed that students were mostly satisfied with face-to-face classes rather than online classes. It is a little similar, but I found that they were mostly neutral. I think, I don't want to be wrong, show that most of the students were negative, feeling negatively about the online process. And as research question number 2, audio showed us that students had moderate to extreme stress or depression. So again, it is similar, but not quite, because I found that they sometimes and fairly felt nervous. And lastly, research question number 3, as Jawad and Shalash, I think, revealed that students with low grades increased their GPA in online classes. And lastly, Akgün showed us that stress and academic achievement were negative correlated, which is exactly what I found, but mine was weaker. And my references, thank you for listening. If you have any questions, I can listen to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really enjoyed listening.
Really?
Thank you. You've perfectly presented.
Oh, thank you so much.
So everything is crystal clear. Pelin, I have nothing to say. That's
really?
right.
Oh, that's great.
That's right. That's right.
Happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but let's ask your friends. So everybody, would you like to say anything? Any comments or any questions? Or looking at her questions or the things she examined in this study, or would you like to say, or would you like to comment on your experiences with feeling stressed or not at all? Would you like to say something for this?
Me?
No, in general, I'm asking
Okay.
her friends.
Okay.
Because they were also your participants, if I'm not mistaken. Some of them.
Yeah, I
also the
used
participants.
3rd graders and 4th graders as pilot study.
Mm-hmm. Okay, would you like to say anything? I guess there are no questions or comments, but really like the study you presented it perfect. So everything is crystal clear and makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So let's finish if you want.
Can you see my screen, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, that's perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Elif. Now I will talk a little bit about my thesis, and I hope you enjoy the presentation and the topic as well. Okay, my thesis topic is popular mobile applications used for online learning at the English language teaching departments during COVID-19. Okay, I have chosen this topic because of the coronavirus pandemic, because it was new for all of us. So we have changed, which is known as traditional way of teaching, a face-to-face education. We have switched it into online learning. It was new for all of us. There is a researcher said that modern online learning provides many benefits to both instructors and learners with speed and low cost of money and time. That's right. But however, the situation was new for us and we were not used to it. That's why we had challenges both for the instructors and the students. And we needed mobile applications to have lessons. And the next one, which applications are helpful in online learning according to ELT students? Okay, participants. I had 57 participants who are pre-service ELT students. Their ages were mostly 22 and 23. It's a quantitative research, and that's why I have used quantitative data collection. And I have designed my questionnaire by using Google Forms. And of course, I have conducted online and sent it to the participants. And also it was voluntary. Okay, in the questionnaire, there were 3 demographic questions, which asks about the age, gender, and university. And there were 8 checkbox questions and 10 5-point Likert scale. I have also conducted a pilot study to check the questionnaires reliability. The participants were 31 and the reliability was 75, which means it was reliable. Okay, in data analysis, I have used SPSS, as most of us, and I have used descriptive statistics, which gives us means and standard deviations. Okay, now let's have a look at the findings. Okay, first of all, let's remember the research question. What are the popular applications used by the students? Okay, according to the table here, Zoom is the most popular one according to the ELT students in Turkey. Universities included, by the way, Trabzon University, Erciyes University, 19 Mayıs University, and Sivas Cumhuriyet University. They think that Zoom is the most popular one. Then quizzes, Kahoot, PowerPoint, and it goes like that. And unfortunately, Google Meet is the least popular one.
Nasıl insan çıkacağını bilemiyorsun.
Okay, someone is speaking. Okay.
Ülkece kafayı.
Okay, let's have a look at research question 2. What are the ELT students' reasons of using those applications? Why they use mobile applications?
Yıldız, please turn off your microphone.
Is it Yıldız?
Yes.
Hocam zorlarınız çok güzel hocam. Zorlar güzel. Beğendin mi?
I cannot do this.
Bayıldım.
Nereden aldın?
Biraz sordum.
İnternetten değil mi satış?
Hemen hocam bir şey geldi. Trabzon'dan mı geliyor? Nereden geliyor?
I'm calling her.
Okay, okay. She did it. Okay. Okay. What are the ELT students' reasons of using those applications? I have okay. Okay, again, research question 2. Let's remember it again. What are the ELT students' reasons of using those applications? Okay, the reason is here. Online application tools recommended by the institution, by the university, I mean. According to the table, Teams is the most recommended one by the institution to the ELT students. Then Zoom is the second one and Adobe Connect is the third one. Again, Google Meet, unfortunately, is the least recommended one by the institution. Another reason, they are easy to use. Let's have a look at them. Zoom, ELT students think that Zoom is easy to use. And then PowerPoint, Teams, Kahoot, quizzes, and it goes like that. And again, they think that Google Meet is not easy to use comparing to others. Another reason, online application tools recommended by mates, by friends. Let's see. Again, Zoom is the most recommended one by friends. Then ELT students think that Kahoot and quizzes is the second and third recommended one by mates. Okay, I had 8 reasons in the questionnaire, but I have mentioned 3 of them because of the time limit. Okay, let's have a look at research question 3. Which applications are helpful in online learning according to ELT students? Okay, ELT students think that Zoom, again, is the most, they think that PowerPoint, 4.58, they think that PowerPoint is the most helpful one in online learning during COVID-19. Then, as a second one, They think Zoom is the second helpful one in online learning, here 4.42. And then, yes, Teams is the third one, 4.23. Okay, the conclusion. ELT students know all of the applications in the questionnaire, yet they do not use all of them. And also, ELT students are neutral about some of the applications. Let's have a look at them here. Okay, Prezi, 2.93. It means agree. It is between agree and disagree. So they are neutral, and it's more like disagree. Okay. Application with application with different features. What are they? Let me give you an example. As we are doing right now, recording the lessons or the presentations. It's a feature of the application. Also, having multiple hosts is another feature. And they think that application with different features is the most helpful one in online learning. Okay, let's have a look at limitations and suggestions. I think they are all the same for us. Conducting the research online, it was the biggest limitation in this study because it was really hard to get contact with the universities, with the participants. Also, less participation. Again, it is done online, and there were no interaction between the researcher and the participants. Suggestions, as you all may guess, conducting the research with a larger group of participants. I had 57 participants with 4 universities. So it's a little bit weird, but conducting the research with a larger group of participants can help us to get better results. So that was all for me. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, I can answer.
Thank you, Elif.
You're welcome.
Another successful and successfully presented study. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you like to say anything, everybody? Any comments or any questions?
I am the last presenter. So.
That's right. So would you like to say anything, everybody? Or anything you'd like to ask for clarifications? Okay, so let me help you a little bit. Elif, can you go back to your findings slide?
Okay.
Okay, I'll tell you where to stop. I guess it's the first one. So can you go to the first question? Okay, that's right. That's right, the first one. So look, okay, the question is what are the popular applications used by the students? And look, Adobe Connect, it's the second least popular application. And look, think about our case. We've been using it from the beginning. So what do you think, everyone? And look, think about the studies you've heard within these 3 days. Okay, the participants of all those studies were almost from our department or majorly from our department. And look, in your study, we see that students do not find it as popular as the other applications. But we have been using this application from the very beginning, and most of our students, or many of the studies, they showed that students were not satisfied with the quality of online education, or they felt that there were some problems, or there have been some problems. And here we see that this is important because when we put the two things together, they tell us some things, and a very important thing. And it says Adobe Connect is not that much popular among students, or at least the students perceive it as a popular application, be it thought or through. So what do you think about this, everyone? Because you've been getting education from this application majorly. And here we see that it's not popular. or it's not perceived as popular, even if it has been used. What do you think?
It's kind of weird.
That's right.
I think it's really interesting because it should have been one of the popular ones since we're using it that often.
But they have to pay for it. That's why I think it's not popular. Adobe Connect, they have to pay something.
But our students, they didn't pay anything, and we
So
either.
that's why it's not popular. That's why they are not using it.
Maybe this might be the reason, but anyways, Ercan Hocam, because the university had the license for this one, and the students are able to use it through their university. So almost all students, they've been provided with the chance to use this application free.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to pay anything, but they've been using it. When we think about our situation, at least. Our
But
students didn't have to pay, but they used it, and they still regard it as not that much popular, or perceive it not that much popular.
I think I haven't caught the participants descriptions. Did she give any descriptions on participants? Are they pre-service teachers trying to teach somewhere?
Pre-service.
No, pre-service teachers.
Pre-service teachers in their 4th year, or let's say senior
No.
students?
Not 4th year students only, as far as I remember. Can you clarify this, Elif?
3rd grade and 4th grade.
Okay, so from 4 different universities,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay, popular means they are using these tools, right? But they are using Zoom to teach something, quizzes and Kahoot. So I just suppose that they are 4th year students and have some going some schools or giving some courses online. So that's why they use these tools.
They might be, okay.
That's
We don't
why
know,
I
this
think
might
that
be a reason.
Adobe Connect is something they have to pay, and Ministry of Education doesn't have this application. And so they don't use it. But in universities, in their actual classrooms, they use it. At
Yeah,
least in
I
our
know.
university.
That's right, that's right. They use it because, look, they are 3rd and 4th graders, and they're able to, or they've been using it, and because their institution paid for this application. But look, other than their classroom purposes, the students, they couldn't use it out of the
Yes.
classroom purposes because there was no that kind of facility for Adobe. If your university registered for Zoom, and it doesn't matter where you use it or what purpose you use it for.
Yeah.
So even if our university paid for Adobe Connect, we are not able to use it for any other purpose other than our online classes. I mean, faculty classes only.
That's right. So students are not using it. They cannot use it.
That makes sense. So then it's not popular and it's okay, you say.
Yes.
Makes sense. Makes sense. But then again, they've been getting their training through that application. And maybe this is the case in those other 3 universities. We don't know. At least I don't know what they were using. I mean, the other 3 universities, the students of those 3 universities, we don't know. At least I don't know what they've been using for their school classes. But at least in our university, we have been using Adobe Connect, and the students still do not find it that much popular, but use it. So if you are thinking about popularity and frequency of something for being used, then this is also weird.
Yeah.
Because think about yourselves, everyone. You've been using this application, so why isn't it that much popular? Because you use it. If you are talking about popularity as frequency of something.
We use Zoom and Teams, and maybe that's why.
Adobe is not that much popular.
Maybe.
Okay, we don't know. Thank you. So would you like to add any other things, questions, comments? Well, I guess there are no. Are there any? Okay, I guess there are no. Edith, thank you. Really enjoyed listening to your presentation too. So we learned lots of things, and okay, everything is very clear and very neatly presented. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.